What's up, guys? It's your boy Travis here, and right now you watch me on my new Nabi HD camera. I picked this camera up for 50 bucks. It still shoots in 1080p and it has waterproofing. I couldn't ask for a better deal. So I tried it out last week when I went on my honeymoon. It performed flawlessly underwater and everything. So I'm gonna be shooting a lot of videos with this camera from now on, and you should stay tuned for that stuff. But anyhow, getting on to the car stuff today. We're installing my new wideband AEM gauge, and let's get to it. Alright guys, before we get started, let's check out the gauge components. Obviously we have the AEM wideband gauge right there for the readout. And then we have one harness for the O2 sensor side to connect with. And then we have the other harness to connect to your power source and the grounding. And then obviously the wideband O2 sensor right here. Then there's a gauge faceplate you can change out. There's a white face. Black bezel. It originally came with the black bezel already on it, but I went ahead and took that bezel off and changed it to the silver one to match my other gauges in the car. And then we have the O2 bong. Typically you would take this and get it welded into the exhaust system prior to installation, but I don't need this, so that's why it's still in the bag, and I'll show you why I don't need that when we get started. So let's get after it. Alright, so a couple things before we get started. A little bit about the exhaust system. I'm running the P-Tuning version 1 exhaust system. This was the original exhaust system that P-Tuning developed and came out with. You can see that nice little P-etch design in there in the exhaust hanger. It's fully 3-inch all the way back from the turbo to the rear end here. The muffler center is actually centered in the middle of the exhaust system. It's fully V-banded. Let me get around to that side and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So you can see P-Tuning V-bands all the way from the full exhaust system from the front to the back. This is the center section of the exhaust system. This is the muffler essentially. So there's no rear muffler section on it, so this is the muffler here. A couple little things about this exhaust system that makes it awesome. It's not the fact that it's fully V-band from the back to the front, or the fact that it's 3-inch exhaust system. That's not really what makes this an epic exhaust system. And you're gonna find this funny, but the reason why I think this is an epic exhaust system is because of little things that P-Tuning thinks about when they're doing stuff, when they're creating and when they're engineering their exhaust systems and components and parts for their car. You see this bung here? This is the third bung for the O2 sensor for my wideband. So essentially it has 3 bungs already built into the system before you even get the exhaust. So I think that was an actual little, I guess you want to say, little icing on the cake, that you don't have to weld in another bung just to just in case you want to run a wideband. It was already pre-made that way. So I think these little things like that just sets P-Tuning apart from other companies, because they think of the little stuff for you before you even get to that level. When you're ready to upgrade, it's already there for you. So I already had a pre-O2 sensor in here, and we're gonna go ahead and get that taken off and get the new Bosch sensor installed for the new wideband. So this is the old O2 sensor, wideband sensor. Like I said, it's for the gauge that I had previously. That gauge was custom installed, and when I removed it, it just was too damaged to reuse. So I bought the new wideband. So need an O2 socket adapter for your wrench, and we'll get this wideband sensor off and get the new one installed. Alright guys, so you can see the dirty work's already done. The wire's already routed up and through the firewall. Chose a spot that I'd always choose right underneath the dash here. You can find, if you look down there, there's a big rubber grommet that's sticking out through that goes through the firewall. You can just stick it through there. But I routed the harness all the way up through the dash and out this little vent hole here into the gauge, which I've already installed in the gauge cup here. So now we just get to the easy stuff, and that's finding power source. You got the power source, red wire here is the power source, black wire is the grounding cable, and then these are optional wires that you can hook up for data logging and stuff like that. And then I have a grounding source right here that I use for my shift light. So I'm just going to reuse that source there, and then I'll find a power source down here in this cubby hole, where, as I've got already connectors here. So we'll get that connected up, and we'll see, get her turned on and see how she works. Alright guys, so we got everything wired back in. I plugged the negative battery cable back up because I took that off as a precaution. You can see I got the ground wire hooked here. I got all that excess cabling that AEM gives you. I just rolled it up and stuffed it in there, and I got the power source tap there. So we'll see what happens. There we go. I'm going to read 14.8 since it's the atmosphere. But there you go. It's all nice and buttoned up. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck with your install, and I'll see you next time. Peace.